What is the number one thing the people, let's say the community, often says? What is the number one response you often see when something horrible, really horrible happens? And it happens within a community where normally never anything bad happens. What is the common reaction of the people most of the time? What? Come on. Did he do that? Did she do that? No, no way. He wasn't like that. He was a very nice guy, or she was a very nice woman. They really loved one another. You can fill in the blanks here. People are shocked, astonished, frightened. But here's the thing. The reason they're so frightened, shocked, and they don't know what to do is because they did not see it coming. And because they couldn't see it coming, they couldn't anticipate it. And here's the thing, they had no interest in seeing anything coming. And that's one more thing I want to teach you. Well, I told you before. Just in case you missed it, I have over 2,100 videos, so it can be you missed something. I'm telling it to you now. People do not want to walk in the light. Generally. People want to remain in the dark. They don't want to be alert about what's going on around them. They just want to be left alone with that little will of theirs, being relieved, and that's it. As long as they are relieved and they are at ease, that's all that matters onto them. They are not concerned at all about what's happening to their environment. To the environment, they think, let the government deal with that, or let the leaders deal with that. They have their busyness, they have their things they are occupied with, which they call their business, means they are busy, and they want to be busy, and others are busy, and nobody bothers one another. That's how most people want to operate. And that's a very dumb way of operating. That's a very dumb attitude. You know why it's very dumb? Because you need to be alert concerning your environment. And here's the thing, y'all. When you look at nature in the animal kingdom, among predatory animals, let's take the serpent for example. The serpent is not a powerful animal. Physically, when you look at the serpent is almost a joke. It has no arms, no legs, it has no sharp nails, it has no sharp teeth. So the serpent, it doesn't even have what you can say a strong skeleton. So the serpent is like a joke. If you would see that creature, you would think, oh man, what can this creature do? But don't be mistaken. That creature, the serpent, man, that body of his, he can wrap it around you and strangle you, suffocate you to death. But here's the thing, the serpent is so fast, you don't see him coming. And here's the thing, the serpent, this is what a serpent does. The serpent pays attention to its environment. The serpent is aware. The serpent knows that he is a very vulnerable creature. The serpent knows he's very fragile. The serpent knows if he doesn't watch out, anyone can trample on him. And he will be finished. The serpent is very self-aware. So the serpent uses the one ability it has, and that's to see temperature. Maybe you didn't know this. Maybe nobody told you this, but serpents see temperature. So let me give an example. Let's say there is a deer over there. A deer is panting around looking for water. And you have a serpent crawling around. The serpent sees the warmth of the animal's body, of the deer. The serpent also sees the temperature of the plants. So based on the temperature, the serpent knows there's a living creature over there. And the serpent can also anticipate and notice, based on the warmth, if the animal is tired or not. The serpent can indicate a lot of stuff based on the warmth, because when an animal is tired, the temperature also reveals this. If an animal is very active, the temperature tends to be a bit higher. So the serpent is experienced in reading of the temperature. So the serpent sees the temperature, sees as a living creature, and the serpent lingers around, looks around, checks the whole climate. And when the serpent notices, okay, the prey is not alert now, the serpent comes near and check, bites the target. The target now has the venom in its blood system. And unless the venom is sucked out very quickly, the prey will die. But the serpent bites you in such a way that you're not aware you've been bitten. So while the deer walks away, suddenly it collapses. And then the serpent comes and swallows the whole animal. It may take a half hour or something, but they swallow the whole animal, and the animal is like actually consumed by the inside of the serpent. It's over. That's how serpents operate. Now, why am I talking about serpents here? Is it because I want you to become fascinated by serpents? No. I'm telling you this to alert you. Christ said, the Lord said, be wise as serpents. He's telling you something here. Be wise as serpents. But a lot of folks don't want to be wise as serpents. I just told you about the serpent. The serpent is aware that it's very fragile. The serpent is aware of the abilities of those other animals. Nevertheless, it uses its one ability to see warmth, to have its advantage. And the serpent has a great advantage in it. That's why it's very hard to capture a serpent. And here's the thing, they have that ability to spit venom, right? And they can do it very fast. So if you want to hunt on a serpent, you need to be very careful. Okay? Now, about predators, about predatory people. The reason predatory people are seldom caught is because they are alert. They are aware. Okay? Most people aren't. Most people want to be left alone. That's why they're so extra vulnerable to predators. Just think about it. You cannot live in an environment and you don't pay attention to the environment. You must be aware of what's happening in your environment. You know, in previous ages, in Eastern Europe, you had those elderly ladies. They would sit on their balconies almost all day long, check on everyone. They were the cameras of previous times. And sometimes they sat on their balconies, but you didn't see them because they may have a plant on the balcony, so people won't notice them. And those elderly ladies, they have no other activities to do because the community takes care of them. Their sons or grandsons work and hand a bit of their salary to sustain them. And those elder women, you will be surprised how much they know of the community. You can't be in a village and those elder women don't know anything about you. Now what is going on? Those elderly women, they kept an eye on the community. So anytime something suspicious happened, everyone knew about it. And that's how they guard their communities in Eastern Europe in previous ages. Now, maybe not only Eastern Europe, but you get what I'm saying here. When you go look at it today, people are so into their mobile phones, they barely pay attention to look around them when they sit in the public transport. And when they do look around, it's just to find an exit. I mean, they show no interest whatsoever in their environment. They're so proud in their own will in seeking their relief. I'm telling you, that type of society that we're in now is a heaven for predators. Because predators can get away with almost anything. And most people don't even care to notice it. Look, if you want to be ahead of a predator, you must understand how a predator operates. And I just told you, the predator is alert. Some people think that predators have this magical formula that they're using to find their victims or to find ways to exploit people. They don't. They're just alert. If you have a group of young men that rob certain houses, they're not that intelligent. The only thing they did is they just walked around and they were alert. And they noticed that in some neighborhoods, people are not alert. That in some neighborhoods, people just mind their own business. People are so occupied with themselves that they don't pay attention to anything else. And those young men noticed this. So they thought, you know what? This is their vulnerability, that they don't know that this is a blind spot, we can take advantage of it. So they came together and they planned their route and their escape, and they did what they wanted to do. That's how they do it. They're not that extra intelligent or anything like that. They're just alert. Criminals are often alert. And they have to be, because other criminals may come after them. Criminals have more danger to expect from other criminals than from law enforcement. But criminals, man, if you study them well, you can learn a lot of them. I'm not telling you to learn from them in order to become a criminal just like them, but you can learn a lot from studying criminals. And here's another thing. Many criminals are pagans. What did I tell you before? Pagans in general, I'm saying 99% of the time, they're very practical. That's why they succeed in what they do. Of course, there are criminals who are failures and all that. You have that. But most criminals are pagans. That's why they know they need some assistance. That's why they get paranormal aid. Because they know they're just human beings and they can't be alert of everything. That's why they get paranormal aid, so the demons can assist them in what they're doing. They are smart. They are practical. They don't follow that BS that will tell you believe in yourself. You have to do it yourself. It's your life, your responsibility. Take matters in your own hand. They don't believe all that BS that the world is telling them. They see through all of it. They are practical. They realize they're vulnerable. They realize that that people can exploit their vulnerability. So they realize they need to be ahead of people. That's how pagans think. That's how criminals also think. And the pagan rulers of this world, they think like that also. And in reality, in practice, 99.9% of the time they succeed. I'm not saying they don't face any difficulties, but they succeed. And often they manage to avoid much difficulty by just being alert. I mean, look, if I was a pagan, let's say I did not become born again. I did not begin to follow Christ. Let's say I became a pagan. Let's say, because I already had a lot of knowledge of the paranormal, let's say I continued in the paranormal. With all the understanding I have, I'm telling you, if I was a pagan, I would have been able to get away with a lot of stuff. And people won't even notice that I've been somewhere until years later. I'm telling you. Here's the thing, I'm not a pagan, okay? I'm a believer. And as a believer, I'm far more practical than pagans. And as a believer, I can still get away with a lot of stuff. And people won't even notice it. Why? Because I'm alert. Most people are sleeping. They want to remain asleep. And that's how they enable their own doom. And let me tell you, most people, if you tell them to be alert, they'll laugh to your face or they'll tell you to leave them alone. So even when you tell them real facts to benefit them, they'll turn on you. Because that will of theirs is so secret. They're so proud. You can't teach them anything. I told you this before. As a believer, you ought to be far more practical than pagans. And you have the ability to be far more practical than pagans. As a believer, you can get away with far more than you think. As a believer, you shouldn't have to submit to the toxic restrictions of society. If you just play it well and play it very smart, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Now, pagans do get away with a lot of stuff, but nevertheless, they are pagans, so they're still stuck in the negative. So they have their disadvantage at the other side. But pagans, also criminals start pagans, they know how to get away with a lot of stuff. They do. Because they know the common people don't want to know anything. The common people just want to be left alone. and they're using this against the common people. But pagans, also criminal pagans, they know how dangerous common people can be once they're triggered, once they're upset, once common people are frustrated, and they have no place to relieve themselves. They know that common people can lose it and very bad stuff will happen. Let me tell you, in practice, when it comes to locating danger from people, you can expect far more danger from common people that are frustrated than you can expect from pagans or criminal pagans. This may sound like the world upside down, but let me tell you, when it comes to danger, you can expect it far more and far quicker from common people who become frustrated than you can expect than you would expect it from a pagan or a criminal pagan. Well, a criminal pagan is a pagan, but I'm mentioning criminal pagans because criminals that are pagan are criminals, and not all pagans are criminals. Okay, let me put that out. And pagans, that means also criminal pagans, they know very well how common people are. That's why they don't trust them. Listen, people tend to think about social media, about their privacy, they're so concerned with it. But they're still on the darn thing anyway. Now, some people think no social media at all for me. Well, that's not practical because today a lot happens through social media. Okay, let me give another example there. Let's say now that you live in Japan in the 1860s. Japan just opened its door to the West, and they were modernizing. So telephones were introduced, railways. Let's say you have some samurai clan decides, you know what, we're going to use horses, and we're going to use the common method to transport mail between one another. We remain traditional. What would happen? That clan would go bankrupt, and commoners would overtake them. Why? Because the clan would have to realize Japan is modernizing. Soon, you don't have to travel 12 days from one part of Japan to the other. You just take the train, you are there within 2 days. So, what happened in Japan at that time? People modernized. They adapted. They realized we can't avoid foreigners, we can't avoid the United States. So we need to find a way to adapt and to deal with the United States. So we have to be aware so that the United States doesn't trample us under their feet. But at the same time, we can't just give in completely to them also and lose ourselves. So we have to find a way to adapt and to deal with reality. And that's what Japan did. And Japan, within 40 years, it went from the stagnating Middle Ages to the #1 modern country in Asia, with its own marine, its own even had its own air force. Later, even had its own air force. It had its own established military. It had railroads all over the country. It was like a miracle. Why did it happen? The Japanese leaders at the time were practical. So, if today social media has become so dominant, you should realize you can't just remain without social media. So you use social media but only for practical purposes. That's what criminals do. I mean, that's what pagan criminals do. Okay? They don't, as common people, make a profile and secure it for only people they know. Because pagans know that this whole privacy hoax is just a hoax. But common people are so attached to this privacy hoax that they will go very far to defend it. They'll endanger you to protect an imaginary space that cannot exist. Look, I can make this video very long, I can talk for hours, but I hope it's clear to you now. Predators are alert. Pagan criminals are alert. And here's the thing, pagans in general, I told you, are practical, they're quite alert. Man, if people would just grasp this, a lot of change would happen. But I'm not going to give you false hope. A lot of people won't grasp this. A lot of people will keep seeking relief. That's where they're stuck at. And they will lose it. They will really lose it when they're frustrated and they can't be relieved anymore. That's common people. Oh man. Look, what I want to tell you with this video is to be alert. Just be alert. Just look around you once in a while. I'm not telling you to become paranoid, okay? Just look around you. Pay attention. That's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.